Okay, and welcome to the last video in the series that I've made here. I'm going to start with a big recap of everything we've got so far. We've got now a working app, and what an app it is. You can log in and you can look at the records for your jumps. You can add events. Oh, God, I hate that thing. You can add events here and you can delete events here. You can add records for your longest attempts at these jumps. Now, I've come to realise since doing those last few videos that I'm miles under on what a reasonably expected effort in the long jump is, but you get it. You can add your records for the long jump and the high jump, etc. We've learned how to join records together this way. So we've learned how to add records to a database and to join them together. As far as our app's concerned, we've learned about what views do in the views folder. We've learned what routes do. We've learned what a model is, and we've learned how to add helpers to our files. The last thing I wanted to show you is, we've also learned how to add images to our site and add style sheets to our site. That's the Bootstrap stuff we've been doing. I put this last little lesson together just so you understand the last really one of the last things that we've got to learn about in this folder, and that is the JavaScript folder. And I've got some snippets for you here. So the JavaScript folder is to extend, just as the style sheets can extend your styles, and you can see how you can reference styles here, and just as the helper files that I added before can extend your code by referencing a file to help you. Same with JavaScripts. So JavaScripts are added functions that you can write in JavaScript, and mainly this is going to be not server-side JavaScript as we've been learning about in our .js files, but this would be mainly browser-side or client-side JavaScript. Let's just add this JavaScript, charts.js, from the 9a folder in our snippets to the JavaScript folder here, and let's have a look what it does. What it's going to do is use something called charts.js, chartsjs.org, which I found. It's a JavaScript library for creating charts online using JavaScript. And this is one of the functions to make a very simple chart using chartsjs.org, and you can read all the documentation for chartsjs.org if you want to go there. Just plug that in here. You can read all about it here. There it is. You can see some samples, etc. But it's going to try and help you make charts like this. So I definitely encourage you to have a look at that. But when I did, I found that there was a very simple way of making bar charts and feeding information into those bar charts depending on what was on your page. And this works because of something we did much, much earlier. If you remember, right back in one of our earlier lessons in the views, in our layout pug, we added some scripts down the bottom here. Now what you're going to see as part of these scripts is the reference to chart.js. So again, I've added in a previous lesson an extender, and you did it as well. We've added an extender to our functionality by referencing something that someone else wrote. And in this case, it's chart.js. And that's why what you're going to see next is going to work. So I've got this here. I've got a JavaScript that's going to expect an incoming variable. We're going to say, get me, we're going to send the data, our records data, into this page, and I'll show you how to do that later. So it's going to take the records data. It's going to then basically add that into the chart right here. And it's then going to display the chart here, send us back to the page with the chart. All of this in between is tricky JavaScript stuff which takes the incoming data and splits it up into the type of data that chartsjs.org needs. So we're not referencing this page in the code, we're just using what's documented there. So it's all self-contained. but the type of charts that chartjs.org makes, it requires the data to come in as an array, and this is just setting up that array right here. We're setting it up into a thing called chart records, chart jumpers, etc., and then feeding that in where it needs it. Chart jumpers is here, chart records is here. Okay, and that'll fill up different parts of our chart. The last thing we need to do then is grab the code here in 9b, and this is going to go into our pug. So I'm going to grab this part here. This JavaScript file that I've just added here, it's going to do some stuff once we reference it, but it's just going to sit here holding this code, and it's going to wait for something to be fed over to it. Now we feed to this JavaScript file from our pug, our view file. So go to the views and open up our records pug. And we're going to go down to the bottom here, and you see this div right down here at the bottom. Right now it doesn't do anything. It just has a blank, it's just a blank thing. This is where we want our chart to go. So we're going to replace this here with the code we just copied. I'm going to paste it there. You saw that it tabbed in just nicely. I'm going to save this, and it's going to now send us off to that JavaScript file with all the stuff that it needs in order to make the file. So it's calling this div, the canvas div, it's calling it bar chart. That's important to remember. It sets a width and height for the bar chart. It then says we'll open up two empty variables, one called jumpers, one called records, and we'll loop through our records. Again, we know that they've come in because we've listed them here. All of the records were listed here. So we'll set another loop on that same records list. And this time, we'll just set up a string or a string variable for chart jumpers and chart records. We'll just add every jumper to the chart jumpers string and a comma. We'll just add every record to the chart records string and a comma. So the number, the name, and the distances are all going in here separated by a comma. We'll then add a script here that says, take us over to that JavaScript file, reference that JavaScript file, and feed into that file the chart jumpers and the chart records that we just set up here. So we've looped through all of the records and jumpers, putting them in a big long string separated, a big long line of text separated by commas, and then we've thrown those into variables and sent them over to the JavaScript file. What does the JavaScript file do? Well, you remember what the JavaScript file does. It takes the records data, which is incoming from the pug. It splits it up. It takes, it takes those commas and splits it all out. It splits it up by comma and makes an array of charts, an array of jumpers, and an array of records. Here, splits them by comma, and then feeds those into a chart and feeds them into the chart that's being held there. The important thing is that it's looking to put that chart back into the bar chart div, which we remember on here is here. The ID is the bar chart div. Okay, so with those saved, what we should see is we'll load a page, and this stuff gets all set up. It goes to hit the bar chart, and that populates a nice bar chart as stipulated by the type stipulated by chart.js, chartjs.org. We should put that onto the page now. Should be that easy. Let's just refresh this. Let's see. We need to log in again. We sure do. A, and log in. Oh, I've got to get the password right, please. A, not just A. And on our events, our records page now, we see our new records bar chart. That's great. Let's say we've got a 111 centimeter record. We can add that in. That's great. It got added in, and we saw it added to the chart here. Let's say we actually have a great long jumper who's going to long jump 9 meters today. They've gone to the top of the table, and they now top the list. Just to show that we can do it with a different user, let's log in again as user C and log in and add another record for user C. and let's go somewhere in between here. So I'm going to say that I've got let's go 3 meters. So CC jumped 3 meters today and adds that record to the list, and 3 meters has now gone into the bar chart in second place. So a pretty cool little app now, and I would say everything you need to write your own stuff by copying and pasting stuff and rewatching the videos and just remembering how to join records together, how to create new records, how to use the user record to delineate between experiences that each user has, etc. And you can definitely take what you've got here and make most any simple app by connecting those records together and remembering all of the stuff that we've done. Remember just to pinch stuff from here and there when you're creating your own stuff, and play with it till it works. Hope this has been good for you, a good fun experience to go through these lessons. I've enjoyed making. It took me a long time, but I think it was just something I wanted to do because it took even longer when I was trying to learn this stuff. It just took ages to try and find all of this stuff and piece it together myself. So I wanted to just try and help shortcut a few people if I can. So have fun with it. Really hope that you create something great. I'd love to see what you do create, and you'll find my contact details in the comments or somewhere around the videos that would allow you to email me and let me know. I'd love to see it.